Hello, Sunny Bonani, 7:37 Central African Time. Welcome to Breakaway
Hello,
Racing
Sanipo.
League. Welcome to the top tier of the season. Well, the top tier of the Breakaway Racing League, I beg your pardon. Welcome to Mexico. It is the seventh race of a 12 fixture list, or a 12 race season in total. So there's still some action to be enjoyed before this season is all said and done. As you can see, we've got a decent contingent joining us here. Looks like that slight glitch, if you will, of not necessarily seeing certain drivers has kicked into effect again. So we do hope when the race starts proper, or when they go around the circuit, we'll be able to get a sense of who exactly is racing. Well, both the Mercedes are here, Grimjaw and Don Rabico. What a debut it was for Grimjaw, claiming a race win last time out in Canada on their debut in the top tier. What does that mean? Well, it means Grimjaw, who also claimed the fastest lap in Canada, has 26 total championship points, and they debuted, pushing themselves all the way up into the top 10. P8 is Grimjaw, but of course the defending champion and the championship leader is none other than Don Rabico, who is also in the comment section very early on. It's good to see Don Rabico back racing. 102 championship points. Leading the standings, second place is Smirts Django, who has racked up 85 points. I do believe that is the McLaren of Django that we're seeing on the grid as things currently stand. 85 points for Django is second in the championship. Zotile, I don't think will be represented here today. As far as I understand, not racing here today. Zotile has 70 points, placing them third in the standings. Seppo Temba for Williams is currently in fifth place, or rather fourth place, with 43 points. Donafon Laka has 40 points. They are P6. Loveness is in seventh place, or rather sixth place, with 34 points. Then we have a Grimjaw in that P7 spot. The 86er has 25 points, so they're just behind Grimjaw in the standings. And ninth in the standings is Mex, who has racked up a total of 24 points. And then we have Sage Fig, P10 on 22 points. Debo Crocodile is 11th with 12 points. Tabo T92 is 12th on 11 points. Tindo is thereafter, has 10 total points. Mandla has finished in the points for two consecutive races. Mandla came home P7 in Spain and P9 in Canada for a total of 8 championship points. To also go alongside the points that he may have racked up in the sprint race as well. Ngawako D-Wax is behind Mandla on, or rather, level on points, also 8 points. Tapiso rounds off the beginning of the bottom 4. Tapiso has 7 total points, and then the bottom 3 is Ban Kobe, Man Ray, and Enlebo. No points at all for Enlebo. Having had a string of DNFs and a P12 finish in Spain, and Man Ray does have 3 points. Came home in the points in Spain, finishing P10, and also crossed the line in P9 in the first race in China. So a total of 3 total championship points for Man Ray there. Zotile, it seems, has made it into the car, into the paddock, in shape, and ready to begin this evening's race. Thank you for choosing BrakeAway Racing League. We should be getting underway very, very shortly. It looks like, the Invisible Williams is that of Ban Kobe, who's here, as well as their teammate Seppo Temba. And the Invisible Alpine would be Tindo, whose teammate Mex was here bright and early as well. As Don Rabico rightly notes in the comment section, we will be having a short quali session today. So just 18 minutes for these drivers to stake their claim on the fastest possible lap. And then we go racing for a total of 36 laps around this oh-so classic circuit. That is Smirch Django here in the lobby. We have just confirmed that. So the four invisible drivers in order from top to bottom of your screen are Tindo in the Alpine. That is Don Ravico, whose name is not visible there. Smirch Django, who is P2 in the championship, is in that McLaren car. Ban Kobe is driving for Williams today. And we will soon be going racing here in Mexico. It's a 4.3 kilometer circuit at altitude, 2,200 meters above sea level. It is by some margin the highest track on the calendar. What does that mean for driving? Well, the air is thinner, which reduces drag significantly for all of the drivers that will be staking their claim on a possible points finish here. Tsepiso has joined the fray, but becomes the fourth driver to have an invisible gamer tag. We do hope that will change once we get racing. In the comment section as well, Shalane Noble, aka Shakes. Great to see you over there. And in due course, do expect Shakes to be fighting in the top tier as well. It's of course never straightforward in the BrakeAway Racing League. Tiers 2 and 1 are super competitive, and we'll be keeping a close eye on how the rest of the Tier 2 season pans out. But for today, as we've mentioned, it's advantage Don Rabico, 102 points, leading the standings, has 3 wins this season, versus Smirch Django, who has just the 1 win, which was back in Saudi Arabia. And Smirch Django came home in P2 in Canada, so in decent nick is the McLaren driver. And we'll get a sense soon enough of just how he will fare in that battle with Don Rabico. It's good to see Tsepiso here today. 7 total championship points. And to be crystal clear, Tsepiso is the Ferrari driver highlighted here on your screen. Currently, the game is doing weird things where we're not seeing gamer tags if you've just joined us. Tsepiso, 7 points. Came home P10 last time out in Canada. His other points finish in a feature race was 9th place in Qatar. This is Ban Kobe, also looking for a decent string of points from here on out. He came across the line in Saudi Arabia in 8th place. He finished 10th in Baku, however. He missed the race in Qatar because he was actually in Qatar for the Grand Prix. So we'll see how Ban Kobe fares here today. He's looking for nothing less than a decent haul of points. Well, folks, if you've just joined us, it looks like the missing constructor, as far as driver representation is concerned, is the second half of Red Bull. That would be the 86er, who is not seen here today. Tabo T92, the partner of this driver, who happens to be Smirch Jago, by the way, also yet to make their presence felt in this lobby. Sun Hashira, another one. Enlebo, I beg your pardon, is the other driver that we do not see represented here. They are, of course, the partner to Debo Crocodile, aka Pankiani. So we are waiting to see how they will fare. Alrighty, folks, thank you for your patience. Here we go, on the verge of getting to qualifying here in Mexico. Bienvenido a todos a Autódromo Hermanos Rodriguez, the circuit famously named after the Rodriguez racing brothers. That was, of course, Ricardo and Pedro, if I remember correctly. Yes, Pedro and Ricardo, the famous sons of Mexico, after whom this circuit is named. As you can see, it's going to be a colorful qualifying session. We do see rain here. And we saw, of course, rain in the race proper in some of our lower tiers. But the top tier drivers will have to contend with inclement weather and changing conditions in qualifying, which should, well, give us some decent entertainment when all is said and done. We will see just how these drivers fare, and, well, we'll also get a sense of whether or not they will struggle with similar conditions in the actual race. Now, I do have a decent sense of who is who at this particular point. Yep, that is Smirch Django, who is blank. The blank Williams is Ban Kobe. This is Tapiso. That is Don Rabico. Grimjaw in his second race, claimed the race win last time out. Don Rabico will not make it easy, nor will Zotile in Ferrari. Tindo will be looking to, get back in a decent run of form. He's currently P14 is Tindo, but he will look to either match or better his best result of the season, which was a 6th place finish all the way back in the second race in Saudi Arabia. Looks like there's a Ferrari making its way out. I would bet that it could be Cepiso, who does not like to waste time and come out early, but I may be wrong. It might be Zotile, but we will see soon enough. Let's give you all of the info that you would find interesting. Cepiso is on their outlap currently. Let's see how or he can light up those timing sheets. And it looks like come the end of this quali session, we will have at least 15 drivers racing. That is because Nkawako D-Wax, the AlphaTauri driver, has joined the fray. D-Wax missing their partner, Tato, aka Loveness, who was absolutely sensational in that recent race back in Spain. Loveness came home P3, a first podium finish of Tato's season. Expertly executed, and we know exactly what he can do. This, however, is Tapiso, whose car is splashing up some water, some spray on the tarmac, on the asphalt, I beg your pardon, as the Ferrari makes its way through the final sequence of corners here in Mexico City. This is the 16th into the final corner, that being turn number 17, and Tapiso will be the first to send us on a tour around this circuit. Wet weather conditions, Tapiso's hot lap begins with him hugging the left side of the track, looking to line up the entry into turn 1 as neatly as he possibly can. Slight moment there, touching the apex and keeping the entry as clean as possible. Looking decent as Tapiso, but as I say that, he almost makes acquaintance with the wall. He really had to catch it there, but Tapiso still keeping it going. Here comes now towards the end of Sector 1. It's a 32.143. Pay close attention to that. Tapiso will be among the first to set a time alongside Mandla Romeo, and he sends it into the grass. Does Tapiso in the beginning stages of the second sector. Tapiso, with a heart-in-mouth moment, will be absolutely grateful that he caught that car in time. And we'll now have to send it all the way around, having lost some crucial moments there. The Haas duo of Man Ray and Mandla now making their way across the track. Man Ray is further along. Mandla crossed the first sector at a time just over 31 seconds. Will hop on board with their teammate, who seems to have navigated the beginning stages of Sector 2 much better than Tapiso did. Man Ray will be our first representative time now through the S's to conclude the second sector and to send it screaming down towards the right-hander of turn number 12. 105.432, I beg your pardon, is the split there as Tapiso crosses the line, 1 minute 37.014. Nowhere near representative even in these conditions. Here comes Man Ray now through the final sequences of corners. This is turn 16. Man Ray not quite tight to the apex through there, but it is a clean lap. It is a steady lap. It is a 1 minute 28.493. Their teammate Mandla should be up next. No, he's invalidated. So Man Ray will be the early benchmark at this particular point. Who is due across the line? It looks like Donovan Laka is about to cross the line for the fastest time thus far. 1 minute 27.961 is the benchmark. One of the Mercedes are due to come across the line, but the question is it a hot lap? The answer is yes. Well, it's a hot lap only beginning now for Grimjaw. whose debut was absolutely stunning last time out. He's got the blue markings on his car, does Grimjaw. Here comes now in towards turn 1, and we'll see whether or not he can clean it absolutely clean. Seppo Temba has set the new benchmark, 1 minute 27.822 in wet conditions for the Williams driver. What can their teammate Bankobi do? Bankobi still in the pit as we now watch Grimjaw complete the first sector with a time of a 31.357. Comparable to some of the other times that we've seen before this, before hopping on board. Those were turns 5 and 6 that Grimjaw has navigated fairly cleanly into the left-hander of turn 7. And Lebo will make it 16 drivers when we get going in the race proper. Tier 1 definitely getting rain. Finally getting rain, says definitely Duke. They've been absolutely lucky, but not today, says the weather forecast. He crosses sector 2, does Grimjaw, with a 104.308. Oh, now through turn 12, wide through the exit there. Not quite catching it as cleanly as he would have liked. It's the also challenging traction zone of the final part of this track. It's Grimjaw who's struggling for grip here, understandably so, will still come across the line with the fastest 1 minute 27.113, putting daylight between himself and Seppo Temba. As things currently stand, well, Ngawako Dwax is next up. Now, making his way towards turn number 7, and we'll begin to navigate the S's. Oh, how he wishes it was dry. There's a slow-moving car on the racing line. Oh, no! Was that Zotal? Was that Tepiso? It was Tepiso who was very slow. He had to cause the Ngawako Dwax to completely lift off the throttle there. Here it comes now into turn 12, having just completed the second sector with a time just over the 1 minute and 6 second mark. Oh no, but on the exit of 12, he just could not keep it together. He was flirting with the track limits. He exceeded the track limits. He has invalidated that lap. And Ngawako Dwax will have to send it all the way from the beginning. Now on board with Smirch Django over here. This is Smirch Django, whose teammate Tabo T92 is not represented here today. Let's see how their Sector 1 will look. And these wet conditions. 1 and 2 without incident. We've seen drivers really struggle. And if it is to be a completely dry race, then perhaps these drivers are trying to balance keeping things, well, bearing in mind what the race conditions will be preparing for them. That was turn 5. Here comes turn 6 for Smirch Django. And I might have spoken too soon, because it looks like we will have 17 drivers come the start of the race. Tabo T92 has joined the lobby in time to be able to take part in this race. This, however, is their teammate, Smirch Django, completing the second sector with a time of 104.360. Now, into turn 12, we've seen some drivers really struggle, the likes of DWAX. Oh, Django was on the limit there, but did not invalidate there through that 12th corner. Now, looking to complete this slower section, this final section of the track without incident. Trying not to flirt with the walls, but struggling for grip. Almost made contact with the wall. He's still sending it. He comes across the line for the third quickest time. Django, 1 minute 27.430. Mex has the fourth quickest time, having just crossed the line behind Django. As you can currently see, Manray has the fifth quickest time, and then Estanathan Laka, sixth quickest from Sige, figure of speech, who has the seventh quickest time. Mandla is back in the pits, but Debo Crocodile has just come across the line with their best effort being a 1 minute 28.383. Bon Ganny for Aston Martin, trying to fly the flag as high as he possibly can. Meanwhile, your championship leader, Don Radical, not having such a great time today. He had invalidated on his first push lap attempt. 8.5 minutes for all of these drivers to send it and try and qualify as high up the grid as they possibly can. Here comes Don Radical's second push lap attempt, his second roll of the dice, his second stab at the fastest time in this qualifying session. If you've just joined us, this is Don Radical, whose gamer tag is, well, strangely not showing here today, but we do know who it is. Now making his way through the initial corners, sending it absolutely screaming towards turn 4, the braking zone, and the left-hander coming up. Don Ramico crosses the Sector 1 split with a 31.271. So the initial sectors in this session are very, very similar, as Smirts Django has just come across the line for the quickest time that we've seen today. A 1 minute 26.446 is the time that Smirts Django has just set in the McLaren, the quickest car thus far. So Smirts Django is content, of course, to send it for multiple laps to get those tires in optimum condition. This, however, is Don Ramico, who has just navigated the S section, and let's see whether or not he can keep it on track through turn 12. He does this time manage to make it a green lap, a valid lap up until this point. There's a slow-moving Aston Martin, which is going to need to make way very, very quickly. Perhaps building up to an off lap? No, it's a car coming back, and Don Ramico struggling for grip there, but still comes across the line with the quickest time by a factor of just over 0.2 of a second. Don Ramico, the quickest driver, with about just under 8 minutes of this qualifying session to go. Smirts Django on a second push lap. Absolutely sensational effort there. 1 minute 26.446. Grimjaw currently third and currently on another push lap. We will instead catch up with other drivers. We've already seen Grimjaw on their push lap. Mex sadly had invalidated. He's going to have to give it another go. It's another invalidation for Jonathan Blacka, who currently stands in P7. Cinch Figure of Speech is now 8th from Debo Crocodile in 9th. Mandla, who is trying to give it another go out here. Looking to complete the second sector. No, he's not pushing. He's currently 10th quickest from Inkawako, aka D-Wax. But look, it's another invalidation there. Tabisa, what can he do? The answer is possibly improve as he passes a slow-moving Haas down the main straight. And Nebo has also joined the lobby and is on the verge of absolutely sending it. This, however, is Tapiso, whose teammate Zotal has yet to set a representative lap. It looked like Zotal had lost connection to the lobby, but now with just over 5.5 minutes of this session remaining, he does have enough time to Zotal to show us what he is made of. It looks like Tapiso has found a little bit of improvement here in this Ferrari. Let's see how he navigates the upcoming turns 6 into 7 and the S section. Tapiso, fourth gear. Down, maintaining that particular gear as he begins the slaloming S section to conclude the second sector down what would have been a DRS straight in dry conditions, but not today, not in this section. Tapiso finds 7/10 worth of improvement, so at the very least, maybe breaching into the 1 minute 28, but it may not be enough to see him comfortably within the upper echelons of the top 10. Despite that, an improvement is an improvement, and here comes Tapiso across the line. That third sector cost him dearly, and it's a 129.383 finally for Tapiso. It is P12 as things currently stand. In level, whose teammate Debo Crocodile is currently in P9. Their best time is a 1 minute 32.931, but as you can see there, he went completely off the track, making way for some of the faster moving drivers. Ban Kobe, what can he do? The answer is, well, coming towards the line in wet conditions. 1 minute 28.550. Ban Kobe up to P10, which becomes P11. Courtesy of some movement a little bit further higher up this grid. Just under 4 minutes of this session to go. This is Ban Kobe's teammate that we're going to watch. It looks like Don Ramico has gone even quicker. 1 minute 25.563. So these drivers opting to stay out on this track to push longer and longer. And, of course, get those tires up towards as best a condition as they possibly can. Get some heat into those tires through longer runs. And then try to get those lap times falling further and further down. So this is Seppo Temba, who's struggling to find some improvement here as he navigates his way towards the S section. The slow-moving teammate is going to have to make way. That is Ban Kobe in front of Seppo Temba. Ban Kobe just dives completely off the racing line and out of Seppo Temba's way. Seppo Temba on the verge of completing the second sector. Another slow-moving car gets off the racing line. Sadly, September not finding improvement through the first two sectors. Let's see whether or not he can, make a miracle out of the third and final sector. Currently, the fifth quickest time that the Williams driver has here today. Don Ramico leads. Provisional pole for the Mercedes driver. Smirch Django with the second quickest time. Grimjaw third. Mandela fourth. Seppo Temba. Ooh, that sector 3 was sensational from Seppo Temba. He goes up, moves up to P3. 1 minute 27.098 is very, very well done for the Williams driver. Grimjaw on their outlap now with the fourth best time. Mandela back in the pits, fifth quickest from Mex in sixth. Man Ray, seventh quickest time. We then have Donovan Lacken, eighth. Citrigus Speech, ninth. Debo Crocodile is 10th and also on the verge of completing their lap. But will it be enough? Oh, Debo Crocodile sends it straight into the wall, and that car is totaled, becoming the first casualty of this wet qualifying session. Debo Crocodile is out. And it looks like Ban Kobe was finding margins of improvement over here. Now into the S section. Turns 8, 9, and 10. And then 11 for Ban Kobe, who will now send it screaming towards the braking zone and right-hander of turn 12. Ban Kobe in good nick. He's found almost 9/10 of a second worth through the first two sectors. So, but the entry into that left-hander completely wide, went so deep into that particular corner. But if he's got enough fuel on board, Ban Kobe, he's got an opportunity to still send it and try find some improvement. Man Ray becomes the second casualty of this qualifying session. Ban Kobe improves all the way up to P6, and behind Ban Kobe is the screaming McLaren of Smirch Django. So we'll see how they will all do. Don Ramico back in the pits, as we'll actually just want to see how much further along Grimjaw is. The answer is definitely further than Django, so we'll catch up with Grimjaw first in the battle for pole position. Can Grimjaw breach into the 1 minute 26 minimum to leapfrog at Seppo Temba? Time will tell. We still haven't seen Zotal and Tindo in the LP, as well as Tabo T92, all three of whom occupy the back of this grid. Grimjaw, oh no, it's an invalidation. He's not going to be able to improve, sadly. The Mercedes driver out of the reckoning. So let's catch up with Smirch Django, who seems to have crashed out, perhaps pushing too far over the limits. Sage figure of speech, are they pushing? Or is this a slow navigation? Well, some drivers are committing fraud. How are you driving a Merc with a Ferrari helmet? Asks the Nucho in the comment section. Questions. Well, it looks like Sage Figure of Speech is going to be one of two drivers who will be among the last to cross the line. Seppo Temba, the other, was in another section of the track, but Seppo Temba has just crossed the line, did not manage to find improvement. It looks like Don Ramico will start this race in pole position, and on the front row will be Smirch Django in the McLaren Mex. What a day for them. P3 on the grid, and Donovan Lacka will start this race in P4. From Seppo Temba in that fifth place on the grid. Grimjaw, who huffed and puffed and tried, could not find improvement on their final run. P6. Mandela, P7 on the starting grid. Great day for them. Sage Figure of Speech will start in 8th. Ban Kobe 9th. And Zabiso in that 10th spot. Man Ray 11th. Debo Crocodile 12th. D-Wax 13th. And the quartet, Nebel with the 14th time. The trio of Zotal, Tindo, and Tabo T92 did not set representative laps. They will begin the feature race in positions 15, 16, and 17, respectively. We have the feature race in this seventh showcase in the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League coming up next. There it is, folks. Don Ramico with the quickest time by a factor of just over half a second. Max starting in the second row is about a second off the pace in these wet conditions. Donathan Laka, 1.2 seconds behind. And those are your margins. And level about 7.3 seconds behind the leading drivers. 3 sets of tires for Grimjaw, but sadly could not find that margin to be able to guarantee their fast lap. It'll start from P6. We do know Grimjaw is a fighter, so Seppo Temba, Donathan Laka, Mex will have their work cut out for them, but watch out for Mandla just behind Grimjaw. And if it is dry conditions, then we'll get a very good sense. Oh yes, look at that. It's dry conditions for the race proper, which I'm sure all of these drivers will be enjoying. Will it stay dry throughout the whole race, though? That, of course, is the million-dollar question. 4.3 kilometer long track. At high altitude, 2,200 meters above sea level, the air is thinner, the drag is reduced. It's a very long straight down towards turn 1, a prime overtaking opportunity. So we should be able to see some fantastic moves here throughout the duration of this race. Also looking forward to some great overtaking opportunities in the second DRS straight, the run towards the left-hander of turn 4, and of course the run after the S's towards turn number 12, another prime location for possible overtakes. Bian Kobe was in the comment section earlier asking for your prayers in these conditions. Duke says, well, it's a good result for Mex, considering he always misses quali sessions. Absolutely. I'm sure somewhere in South Africa, Nintendo Wii will be quite happy with the fact that Mex managed to take part in a quali session, and we'll see how much of their quality Mex will be able to show. It's 5 lights. It's the only time South Africans look forward to the lights going out, and we are racing in Mexico. It's Don Ravico versus Smirch Django in the run towards turn number 1. Smirch Django has overtaken Don Ravico. He is absolutely sensational as they send it screaming towards turn number 1. They almost go 4 wide, but it looks like Smirch Django will have the advantage. Here comes the onrushing Mex and Seppo Temba down behind. Oh, Don Ravico not having the cleanest of exits over there. It looks like Seppo Temba has gained 2 places. Mex has fallen down 1 place. Grimjaw has gained just 1, but it is a huge scrap here in the midfield as D-Wax has gained 5 places since we started this showcase. Here they come now. Beautiful overhead shot. It is Smirch Django from Don Ravico from Seppo Temba. Mex has lost that 1 place, but he's still in the reckoning among the top runners. It looks like a huge battle in the midfield. Sitch, figure of speech, falling, dropping like a stone. He's lost 4 places. Meanwhile, Zotal, fighting from the back of the pack, has still gone down 3 places since the start of this race. It's absolutely jam-packed in the midfield, but they're keeping it clean, keeping it together, keeping it valid, and keeping it racing. No yellow flags thus far. It's Don Ravico on the hunt versus Smirch Django. Remember, Smirch Django second in the championship, and the defending champion, Don Ravico, with 102 points, is trying to make sure that Smirch Django does not gain momentum. Django, remember, coming into this race, had a total of 85 points for that P2 spot. Well, that is the situation. It is Django who crossed the line first, but Don Ravico will yet have their say before all is said and done. On board we go with the P4 running Mex, who has the front row seats to the battle for the podium places as things currently stand. Slaloming now through turns number 2 and 3. Oh, Mex had to catch it there, lest he be caught from behind by the likes of Grimjaw, who is, of course, on a mission to be able to catch up minimum with their teammates currently running in that P2 spot. Behind Grimjaw by a factor of 2.6 seconds is Donathan Laka. So daylight between the top 5 and the chasing pack as things currently stand. Let's take a look at what the thinking is as far as tire strategies are concerned. Mediums for all of these drivers currently occupying the top 8 spots, and the hard tire has been selected by the Red Bull of the 86er. As things currently stand. Oh, Grimjaw almost going straight into the back of Mex over there. He really outbraked himself and had to go completely off the track. But he's managed to still stay within touching distance of the top 5. But will it be all-out attack down towards this turn 1? Not yet. But it will be a fastest lap in the 1 minute 20 seconds for Grimjaw, who is enjoying that slipstream as things currently stand. Mex almost went for it on the inside of Tepo Temba, but thought not to go for it at that particular point in time. Meanwhile, in the midfield, Man Ray is having some trouble. Ban Kobe has just overtaken the Haas driver, and behind Man Ray is Sage Figure of Speech and Tabo T92. Will hop on board with Smirch Django's teammate here in the other McLaren, currently in P13 as things currently stand. Now, in towards the left-hander of turn 4, it looks like Tabo T92 much more comfortable relative to Sage Figure of Speech, but of course, Sage Fig has to think about the Haas in front of him, so he can't be taking the kinds of liberties that Tabo T92 did over there. Now, in towards turn number 7, and the slaloming S section, which will then usher the second DRS straight. It is lap 3. DRS, of course, will be coming into play in this particular lap, as we get this sweeping helicopter shot. Tabo T92 not quite close enough to go for it there versus Man Ray and Sage Figure of Speech. Meanwhile, Smirch Django has just crossed the line for the fastest time, leading this race, and very comfortable at the front there. The race leader has eked out a gap of more than a second. But Don Ravico is fighting back. Let's hop on board now to see exactly how Tabo T92 will fare versus Sage Figure of Speech. They're darting to the left and to the right, trying to break the slipstream, but it looks like Sage Figure of Speech will get the move done in towards turn number 1 on Man Ray. Oh, Tabo T92 is thinking about it on the outside now through turn number 2, but Man Ray keeps that car as wide as possible, and Tabo T92, try as you might, did not have enough in the bag there to go for it. This is Tindo hunting down the McLaren ahead. Tindo went aggressive on their tire strategy early on. Went for a set of soft compound tires, which of course will necessitate a much earlier pit stop relative to the drivers around them. Most of the grid selected mediums, but not Tindo, who was hoping to have made much more headway at this particular point of the race. Tindo hunting down Tabo T92 now through the S's. Who will be braver on the throttle? Looks like Tindo is much more comfortable. Will open up that DRS and go on the inside of Tabo T92 before they get to turn number 12. And Tindo gets the cleanest of overtakes done. Now up to P13. Behind Tindo is now the McLaren and the Aston Martin pair of Debo Crocodile and Enlebo, who is much further behind them. Back to the front we go. Running in formation are Smirch Django, Don Ravico, P1 and 2, and then we have Tepo Temba, Mex, and Grimjaw, who's fallen behind the leading pack, struggling to stay in touch, and he better make sure that he does not fall too far behind, because Donovan Laka will not make life easier. On board we go now, with Mex hanging on to that P4 spot. This is, of course, the battle, ostensibly, for the race lead. Welcome to Mexico. Welcome to the 7th race of the BrakeAway Racing League season. 36 laps of racing we will have in total. Grimjaw probably made a mistake, says definitely Duke in the comment section. Yep, that is very likely at this particular point in time. Next, trying to make sure that they do not fall too far behind the leading trio. Django, Don Rabigo, P1, P2, and Tepo Temba in that 3rd spot. Here they come now, led by Django. And Don Rabigo content to stay in the slipstream. Meanwhile, Mex is finally going to go for it on the inside of that Royal Blue Williams of Tepo Temba. He's got it done, and the race lead has changed because Don Rabico has absolutely sent it on the inside, but Smirch Django will have the inside line into turn number 2, and he reclaims the lead, or does he? Smirch Django now side by side with the Mercedes, and here comes Mex into the fray. Mex into P2, Mex past the Mercedes, and it's sensational racing by all 3 of them. who will have the line? It's going to be Django who leads them into turn 4 and into 5. Don Ravico is going to look to fight on the outside of the Alpine, but tries he might, he gets potentially overtaken. He does get overtaken by the Williams of September, and Don Ravico, who was potentially in the lead into turn 1, is now down to P4 come turn number 8. Sensational racing by all the drivers in the top 4, and Don Ravico has the fight of his life on his hands here with 30 laps of racing to go. The superstar Mercedes driver, the champion, is got it all to do here. And as we know, he is going to now have to fight back from the position of P4. What a sensational sequence of overtakes that was between all of the drivers in the contention for the race win over here. Don Ravico, 41% of their battery power remaining, huffing, puffing, fighting for his life. Next, on the inside of Smirts Django. Next, into the lead of this race, but will Django fight it back in towards turn number 1? No, he's content to stay in the slipstream of the Alpine, which has been absolutely sensational today here, and Max took heavy curves there through those sequences of corners, but it looks like September and Smirts Django are not going to make life easy for the Alpine driver. 35% with the battery power remaining for the superstar Williams of September, who is looking absolutely comfortable here in in the 7th race of the season here at altitude in Mexico City, looking very, very comfortable. Here they come now, slaloming through the S's, and it looks like Django is looking to reclaim that P1 spot without too much of a fuss. Into turn 12 they come. Top 4 very, very close together, separated by, well, it looks like 20 meters from the nose of Mex to the tail of Don Ravico. There's still information as we get this beautiful sweeping helicopter shot. Who will go for it? September opens up that rear wing. It's a DRS train in the battle for the lead of this race. Don Ravico not necessarily going for it at this particular point in time. September not close enough to dive either side of the McLaren, and Mex hangs on as they send it screaming towards turn number 4. But here comes Smirts Django, wheel to wheel on the outside as turn 4 creeps along, and it's back into the lead of this race. Beautiful stuff here in among the top 4 drivers. Let's catch back up in the midfield battle. The 86er versus Mandla. The 86er towards turn number 4. Not quite close enough to go for it there. Galalatsang, the 86er, went for an alternate tire strategy, hard tires to begin their race, and Mandla is still hanging on to that P7 spot as things currently stand. Behind the Red Bull is Ngawako Dwax, who has front row seats to this battle of the Red Bull and the Haas, slaloming through the S's there, and Dwax is looking, of course, to keep the likes of Ban Kobe at bay. This is Ban Kobe, who's being hunted down by Sage Figure of Speech in the midfield. Behind Sage Fig, about 5.6 seconds behind, is none other than Tindo. Down in P12 as things currently stand, it looks like Don Ravico has overtaken September in the battle for those podium places. This, however, is Debo Crocodile. About half of their battery power still remaining, hunting down Tabo T92, who dives into the pit lane on those 7-lap old hard compound tires. So at this early stage of the race for Hards, we could perhaps assume that it is a wing change. Yep. So Tabo T92 took wing damage and now takes a fresh set of medium compound tires. Languishing down outside the points, P16. Tapiso on the verge of surpassing the McLaren. Making their way now towards turn 17 is Tapiso, and quite likely to be challenging Tabo T92. Zotal all the way at the back. Oh no, it's the ghost of Zotal, sadly, who is now being lapped by the race leader. That is, of course, Smirts Django. A sad state of affairs for the superstar Zotal. Blue flags being waved for the Ferrari, who has now been lapped by each of the top 3 drivers. It is Smirts Django from Mex from Don Ravico with 10 laps gone. Sepultemba huffing and puffing, trying to make sure that he does not lose too much ground, even though the Williams driver is out of the DRS. Well, Don Rabico being made to fight for his life. 19% of his battery power remaining. Same for Mex. All of the top three with a similar level of battery power remaining. 17% for Don Rabico as they now set it into turn 4. Mex took a heavy dose of the curb there through turn 4. Still running, still valid, still within the podium places. Sepultemba is in that P4 spot. Grimjaw, P5, has dropped out of those contention for those podium places. Not quite managing to stay in touch with those top 4 drivers. Donathan Laka, P6. And then we have Galila Tsang, the 86er, being hunted down by Madla and Igawako D-Wax. And it looks like Ban Kobe has also joined the fray. So we have a 4-way fight here. A 4-car DRS straight. Oh no, Madla has spun out at the just before the S's. He was doing so well as the Haas driver, but coming completely undone and now finds himself outside the points. Oh, Mandla. It might have been a moment of contact between himself and Galila Tsang. We did not see that. All we saw was Mandla facing the wrong way and now has a huge fight back on his hands. Oh no, thankfully it doesn't look like he took wing damage to necessitate an early pit entry. So we'll go back to the battle here for the top 4 places. So tight, so close. Sepultemba has battled his way back into the DRS of Don Rabico. Mex has fallen behind the race leader by a factor of about 1.5 seconds at this point. So Smirch Django grinning from ear to ear on those medium tires. And we're watching the top 4, of course, paying a very, very keen eye, paying close attention to see when they will opt to bring it in to the pits. Well, it's Django's prerogative at this particular point. Sepultemba, 19%. He fought so hard, did TT, to get back into the reckoning, and Man Ray has crashed out, becoming the first driver to bring out the safety car. Oh, the top 5 drivers would have hoped that it came out in time, but Donathan Laka, it's a stroke of luck for the Alfa Romeo driver who was at the right place at the right time compared to the likes of Grimjaw and all the other drivers. Oh, Man Ray, the first casualty of the race. In the 11th lap, just before we started lap 12, Man Ray becomes the first casualty, activating a whole string of pit stops. It's a second set of mediums for Ban Colby, and it looks like D-Wax has switched over to the hard. Cinch figure of speech goes aggressive at this point. It's soft tires for them. Mandla has fitted a set of hard tires, and Tindo has opted to carry on. They had already pitted, of course. Tabo T92, similar case for them, and Nebo only now coming into the pits. Those aging soft tires will now be changed, and Nebo with a huge sigh of relief there. And behind them is, of course, the Ferrari of Tepiso, which also fits a fresh set of medium compound tires. Well, the ghost of Zotao still making their way around ever so slowly around this track. Here comes the leading pack. All 4 of them diving straight into the pits, led by Smirch Django. Change the mediums and over into the hards. Sepultemba, whose pit crew is way down the road, also fits those hards, and Don Ravico and Grimjaw did exactly that as well. Still in the same order are your top 5. It is Smirch Django leading the race, lap number 13 of 36. From Mex, who has looked very, very good here today. in that P2 spot. Don Rabico, P3. Safety car will come at a very, very good time for Don Rabico. And Mexa, who had fallen behind the race leader by about more than 1.5 seconds by the time the safety car was called in. Tempo Temba will also use this opportunity to make sure that battery is fully charged before racing is resumed. And it's good news for pretty much everybody who has not been left here. It's a chance for the pack to get bunched up. If you're not used to Formula One under the safety car, racing is neutralized. They all bunch up behind the safety car up until the hazards on track have been cleared and race control gives the word for the safety car to come in. And at that point, it'll be the prerogative of the leading driver to dictate the pace as they weave to the left and right, trying to get some temperature into those tires so that they can make sure that by the time racing is resumed, they have sufficient grip to make racing, viable for them. We've seen what the setups of Smirch Django and Mex have done to be able to give them an advantage versus Don Rabico at the start of the race proper. P1 for Smirch Django, it's a good day for them. Mex as well as Don Rabico. Tepo Temba, P4, a beautiful day in prospect for them. And Team Williams, who have a full complement of drivers still active, still in the points. Grimjaw, 5th place, now making his way down the main straight. Behind the safety car, Donovan Laka will not make life easy for the Mercedes ahead of him. Debo Crocodile, Bongani. Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator. We still have yet to receive confirmation if they're related to Debo Cayman in North America. This is Galaxang, the 86er. Also is going to look to take advantage of these mediums when the race is resumed, especially in those initial laps as we look to conclude the second half of this race. This is Van Kobe in the Williams behind the 86er, and Guaco D-Wax in that P10 spot. Sage Figure of Speech is 11th, went aggressive, did Sage Fig. Soft tires, of course, not going to last relative to everybody around them. Mandla, at a huge moment, spinning off the circuit, costing him dearly. He was really set for a beautiful potential result here, but now going to have to fight from P12. This is Tindo, P13, bunched up behind the safety car. It's a decent opportunity to find himself within the points. It's not going to be easy because Tabo T92 will not make life easy. 5-lap old medium compound tires, and Neville also now in with a decent shot of having their say potentially on those points position towards the lower point finishes. Safety car is coming into the end of the slap. The Tepiso weaving left and right, languishing all the way down in P16, sadly, is Tepiso. Also is P16 in this race, is P17 is Tepiso in the Drivers' Championship. When will Django send it? The answer is now. There goes Django down towards the main straight. Will be absolutely hunted down by Mex. Of course, we need to have 3 laps of racing before DRS is enabled once again. Will Mex go aggressive and look to take the lead of this race immediately? He was not close enough to do so. Don Ravico under pressure from Seppo Temba and Grimjaw, who now has the reprieve of those laps behind the safety car to perhaps do something special here in the fight for the podium places. On board Miko with Grimjaw hunting down Seppo Temba and his teammates ahead of him. Ooh. Perhaps not the best braking sequence there in towards turn 4. This, however, is 5. This is 6 specifically. Oh, Grimjaw struggling for grip there through turn 6, but still managing to keep it within half a second of the Williams ahead. Seppo Temba, sensational race they have had thus far. 15 laps gone. There's still a lot of racing to go here. We have yet to hit the halfway mark of this race. Welcome to Top Tier of the BrakeAway Racing League if you've just joined us. Oh, 3-second time penalty. for Ban Kobe down in the midfield, sadly for him. This, however, is Grimjaw, and behind him it looks like Donovan Laka struggling to stay in touch. And Sepultempo, oh, is that a huge mistake? It is by Don Ravico, who almost sent it straight into the wall. And the champion in 6s and 7s, the champion slipping, sliding down the pack, down to P6. An uncharacteristic, error-strewn race by Don Ravico, who will now have the fight of his life. Meanwhile, Grimjaw goes side by side with Sepultemba on the inside into turn 1. They make a little bit of contact. Sepultemba fights back into turn 2. The Williams driver still has the advantage, but Grimjaw on the switchback is now going to have the line, and Grimjaw has now got that move done as they ascended screaming towards turn number 4. Well, mistakes costing Don Ravico dearly in these dry conditions over here. And he slipped from potentially fighting for the win all the way down to P6 to make this championship very, very interesting, with 7 laps having been, I beg your pardon, 7 races having been completed. Man, oh man, oh man. Don Ravico all the way down to P6, now driving in anger. This, however, is Sepultemba trying to fight back from Grimjaw, who now smells a golden opportunity, potentially, to even find himself in contention for the win. This is Don Ravico, whose huge mistake cost him so dearly, and he will now be, well, very, very thankful that DRS will be enabled in this lap. But he will only get that DRS in the run between turns number 3 and 4, which will be coming up very, very soon. Midfield battles: D-Wax versus Sig Fig versus Tindo. No, Tindo's way further behind. Let's catch up with the D-Wax, Sig Fig, and Debo Crocodile. This, however, is Sig Fig, who has the front row seat to this particular phase of this battle. Soft tires for Sig Fig. They're going to die off easily. There goes D-Wax on the outside of Debo Crocodile. Oh, but will he get it done? Oh no, here comes Sig Fig. Will make contact with D-Wax now. So try as he might, D-Wax did not get that move done. But he's side by side. It's wheel-to-wheel action between the Aston Martin and the AlphaTauri. They bang wheels, but D-Wax has got the move done. And here they come now in towards turn 7. And D-Wax is now up towards P9. Meanwhile, Don Ravico has just overtaken Donovan Laka for P5 in what could be the most epic of fightbacks. We see a glimmer of sunlight between the clouds here in Mexico as the racing action keeps on heating up and the temperature ratchets up a notch in this sensational 18th lap. Oh no, it's another safety car. What is going on? Racing neutralized once again. We're going to fly through the field. We might have had a huge moment of a driver perhaps losing a wing. Leading trio unchanged. Django, Mex, and Grimjaw in the top 3 positions. Sepultemba still running, as is Don Ravico and Donovan Laka. Sig figure of speech. And Ban Kobe don't seem to have taken too much damage. Well, with the second safety car, I'll tell you what. The drivers in the midfield are opting to roll the dice here and fit a fresh set of tires. Hards for Sig Fig and Debo Crocodile, and mediums each for Tindo, Tabo T92, Mandla, and Lebo. And Zotal is back in this lobby, soon to take control of their car for the second portion of this race. Also, Zotal was disconnected much earlier on. He has already been lapped as Zotal, so perhaps this will be just an exercise in, well, a sort of simulation, if you will. And Nebel, having now come out of this pit, the second set of pits for the drivers in the midfield. The race leaders, Django tried to sell Mex the dummy there, but none of the leading quintet coming into the pits. No need, of course, all of the top 6 on hard tires. Donovan Laka pitted a lap earlier than the leading quintet, courtesy of his track position when the first safety car was called. So as things stand, it's still Smirch Django in control, in the lead of this race. But we've seen how quickly things change here, especially towards the front of the pack. So we're going to get a clear sense of what Django can do here. And we will then see whether or not he can give them a run for their money. Donathon Laka running in 6th, now behind the safety car. Gallo Litsang, the 86er. Look at that. Starting at the back of the pack, gained 11 places. By far the biggest mover of the day. Gallo Litsang, the 86er, P7. Ban Kobe, P8. Tinkawacko, D-Wax, 9th. This is Tapiso, who was really on the verge of a really good day here, considering he was languishing towards the back of the pack. Tapiso having taken advantage of the flurry of drivers who came into the pits. Such figure of speech. Well, he's lost 3 places since the start of proceedings here today, but got the pace, and we'll give Tapiso and D-Wax a lot of headaches. Well, Zotal has opted not to take any further part in this race, having already been lapped. Oh, this is Loveness, I beg your pardon. Loveness joined the lobby late. It is not Gallo Litsang. It is Tato, aka Loveness, who has today commandeered the Red Bull here today. Thanks for that correction, Man Ray. We do commiserate with that moment, which saw your race end prematurely. For Debo Croc, it's 1 place gain since the start of proceedings. Tindo has gained 4 places, still outside the points, but it's a fresher set of tires compared to the drivers in the upper echelons of this race. Tabo T92 also gaining 4 places. Mandela, Nightmare Scenario, having lost 7 places since the start of this race. Ban Kobe with that 3-second time penalty for track limit incursions is down, and P15 outside the points, as is the Aston Martin of Enlevo. Well, 16 laps of racing still to go. We do expect race control, hopefully, to give the word that the safety car should be coming back, and that we should get going in earnest. Well, we've got a poll here running as race control gives the word that the safety car is coming back. Please like the stream if you have not done so already, and vote in the poll. 44% of you in the poll reckon that Django's going to win. Similarly, 44, a similar number, an identical number of you say it's going to be Don Ravico. 11% say it's going to be Teppo Temba. No one reckons Mex is going to win. If you reckon it could even be Grimjaw, well, let us know in the comment section. Even Donovan Laka, what about Tato? Loveness, as Smirch Django is on the verge of absolutely sending it screaming towards turn number 1. Over here, he darts towards the inside line, trying to defend a potential overtake here, but Mex, once again, in a straight line, absolutely sensational. Mex will have the outside, but Django will go unchallenged in towards turn number 1. And there's a car sliding down the order. It looks like Donovan Laka was overtaken by Don Ravico. Donovan Laka struggling because Tato is absolutely attacking them now in the run towards turn number 4. Oh, but Tato not close enough at that particular point. Running very, very closely are the drivers in the top 6 at this particular point. Tato trying to have his say as we get back to the tire situation. Donovan Laka is slipping further behind the top 5, now almost 2 seconds behind. Meanwhile, Grimshaw on the attack versus Mex. separated by just 0.2 of a second. Seppo Temba has fallen back out of the DRS. There goes Smirch Jango in towards the final corners of this race in that super quick McLaren, leading the way, leading proceedings in this 21st of a total 36 laps. Jango crosses the line to set a new fastest time on those hard tires, 1 minute 20.055 to begin the 27th lap. Grimjaw on the hunt. We're going to need one more lap before DRS is activated here. So these drivers biding their time and trying not to use up too much of their battery power. But as I say that, Grimjaw down to less than half his remaining battery power, trying to keep Mex under all the pressure. And Mex has turned his attentions from hunting down the McLaren ahead to defending the Mercedes behind. Mex knows it's not going to be easy. There's a slow-moving McLaren, which brought out the yellow flag. It's Tabo T92. Sadly, he's fallen further and further behind, has Tabo T92. But that yellow flag has been cleared at this particular point in time. Seppo Temba hunting down the leading trio. It's a fierce battle for the podium places over here. And Don Ravico, who made that huge mistake earlier, now fighting to make sure that he can overtake Seppo Temba at the very least. So much racing still to go at this particular point. Don Ravico will feel he still has a fighting chance over here. But considering the straight line speed that we've seen of the drivers ahead, it is not going to be clear cut. But Don Ravico has the battery power. Don Ravico has the advantage. He has the inside line. And now, will he have that move done? They're side by side. It's wheel to wheel action between the Mercedes and the Williams. Will they bump wheels into turn one? Almost, but they're giving each other room. Seppo Temba fighting for his life. But despite his valiant efforts, it's Don Ravico now up to P4. But Seppo Temba will not go down without a fight. It's Thursday action night in the run towards turn number 4. Oh, that was oh so close. And into 5, Don Ravico manages to hang on to that P4 spot. So it's a fight back in prospect for the Mercedes driver, trying to be on the podium at the very least. Seppo Temba now slaloming through the S's, about to complete his second sector, and falling further and further behind the Mercedes, now almost a full second behind Don Ravico. Grimjaw can feel the pressure now from his arm-rushing teammate. He's going to look to get this overtake on Mex done as swiftly as he possibly can. Will this be the moment? He's got less than half of his battery power remaining, tucked into the slipstream of the Alpine. How fiercely will Mex defend? The answer is, well, there was no need, because the Grimjaw did not seem to be close enough. Now, through turns number 2 and 3, they go, oh, Mex has a slight slide. Oh, no! Grimjaw goes off the line and makes huge contact with some of the markers there. And Grimjaw loses all that momentum, and it's advantage Don Ravico over there. And a huge lockup for Grimjaw, who will now feel the pressure from the onrushing Seppo Temba, who will possibly dive into turn 6, but he thought about it, but did not go for it. There goes Seppo Temba on the inside, and it's a clean move. Perhaps wing damage taken by the Mercedes, and now Seppo Temba is going to look to catch up back to the onrushing Don Ravico. Oh man, broken jaw, says Billy Hendricks in the comment section. And here comes the onrushing Grimjaw trying to mount some sort of a fight back, but not going to be close enough. I beg your pardon. This is Don Ravico versus Mex. It's the battle for P2, and Don Ravico, whose huge mistake cost him so dearly before the second safety car was called, has lost all that ground to the leader of the race, Deep Saint, responding to some of those mistakes as Don Ravico goes on the inside of Mex, who does not have enough to fight as hard as he would have liked. In now towards a turn 1, it looks like Don Ravico has got that done. Well, that's his situation, folks. Grimjaw had to come into the pit, perhaps for a wing change, and at this late stage of the race, Grimjaw, who made that huge mistake, is now going to have to, well, fight for the fastest lap and also hope for a safety car. But there's not much racing still to go. Oh no! Django has retired from the lead of the race! How on earth did that happen? Django has crashed out from the lead of this race. We can't even see where the carnage took place. Django has lost it, bringing out this safety car. The third safety car of the day. Django, unchallenged, crashed out and has absolutely handed the race potentially to Don Rabico, whose huge mistake is going to be inconsequential at this particular point. Man, oh man, oh man. Carnage, Azuri, Bailey believing it in the comment section. And this brand new safety car has triggered a new flurry of pit stops. Zotal barely believing it. Tato is into the pits for fresh mediums, as is D-Wax. Tapiso has also pitted for brand new mediums. 10 laps of racing to go. Some drivers are rolling the dice. For soft, it's Debo Crocodile, Mandla, Sage Figure of Speech, Tabo T92, Grimjaw, who had pitted courtesy of his own mistakes, is now, well, thankful for the safety car that we mentioned might have been a distant possibility. But on those fresh mediums, well, what can Grimjaw do here? He would have hoped to have potentially overtaken a lot more than the two drivers that he managed to pip at this particular point. But Grimjaw is going to be fighting back from 13th. Romeo Mandla Massengo is in that 12th spot. Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, of course, yet to verify whether they're related to Debo Cayman in North America. Debo Crocodile, only P11. Unbelievable, says Django. Well, perhaps you can regale us with tales of what happened there, Django. It happened off camera, and we just saw the most unbelievable DNF of this season. Well. Absolutely sensational scenes here in Mexico City. Don Rabico is in the lead of this race. Don Rabico has a golden opportunity with that DNF to claim what would be the fourth win of his season. He won in China. He won in Baku. He won in Spain, did Don Rabico. Was given nothing but headaches by former teammate Mercurial Caesar, who is no longer part of the BrakeAway Racing League roster. And now the likes of Mex, Tepotema, Grimjaw, Jonathan Laka will be charged to give Don Rabico all of the headaches at this particular point. Can they do it? Will they do it? Stay tuned, folks. We will have all the racing action over here. Now, look at that. None of the top four, in fact, none of the top six really opted to, I beg your pardon, none of the top seven came into this, came into the pits. I tell you what a potential result for Enlebo. He's under pressure from the fresh tires behind him. But remember, Enlebo has 0 championship points coming into this race. 3 DNFs, Enlebo, and a P12 finish in Spain as the safety car is coming in. If somehow the Aston Martin driver can hang on here, what a result it would be. What a potential result it could be, and we could be seeing something sensational as far as Nebo's season being kickstarted is concerned. When will Don Rabico send it? Well, folks. The batteries are all charged up. Don Rabico has the initiative, backing them all up, and absolutely sending it now down towards turn number 1. Mex and Sepultemba and Donathan Laka are charged with putting Don Rabico under all the pressure down towards turn number 1. Mex has the straight line speed, as we've seen throughout this entire race, and in towards the inside line. He's absolutely onto the grass. Oh no, Mex has racked up a 3-second time penalty trying to fight Don Rabico. Too many warnings, but that could potentially cost Mex a podium place. Sepultemba now will breathe a huge sigh of relief knowing that minimum P2 is secured here, courtesy of Mex's time penalty. Donathan Laka is in with a shot of a podium place finish over here. On board we go with the Alfa Romeo driver, who's about 1.6 seconds behind the race leader, Don Rabico, at this particular point. But behind Donathan Laka is the onrushing Alpine of Tindo, who is also being chased down by Ban Kobe behind. It is absolutely sensational scenes over here in Mexico City here, folks. And Don Rabico, coming on the exit of the S's, has managed somehow to almost be out of the DRS clutches of Mex behind. Over here, we can assume that Mex is running a much lower wing, which does give him the advantage down the straights, as we've seen. But through the traction zones, it is advantage Don Rabico. And here comes the straight line speed of the Alpine in that run towards turn number 1. And Lebo is in trouble, says Zotal in the comment section, as we watch Donathan Laka versus Sepultemba. Up to P3 is the Alpha driver, but Sepultemba is not going down without a fight, because through towards turns 2 and 3, he still is looking to maintain advantage. It's beautifully done by Sepultemba, but it's so tight, it's so close. Here comes Sepultemba's teammates hunting down Donathan Laka in the run towards turn 4. Oh, will they break later? Oh, Donathan Laka goes completely off the track, but thankfully did not take too much damage there. I wonder why. 10-second time penalty for corner cutting, and a safety car again. It is breathless stuff here in Mexico City. I think, Donathan Laka crashed into the back of Sepultemba, then ghosted. That is how he ended up careening off the track to Sepultemba, bringing earning himself a 10-second time penalty, which pretty much means, potentially, the podium place is definitely done. But, as things currently stand, he could find himself out of the points completely. Azuri says, surely Donathan Laka or Don Rabico pits now. Will they? No! But, of course, Donathan Laka has no choice. He's got no wing. Let's take a look now at the tire age, which, 3 laps of racing on those old tires? What can Tato do? It's advantage Tato as far as tire age is concerned here, folks. 4 laps versus 12 laps that Tindo has ahead of Tato, aka Loveness. Well, it is looking like we are going to get some very, very interesting scenarios here before all is said and done. Let's take another peek at the 10 laps, or rather the 10 seconds of time penalties that Donathan Laka has racked up. Well, we saw Max crumble under pressure there, perhaps trying too much to effect that overtake on Don Rabico. As the most recent restart that we saw, it cost him. Of course, he did have some warnings, and that 3-second time penalty was applied, having breached track limits too many times for the steward's liking. Sepultemba, what a sensational possible result he has in hand here. Currently running in the podium places. Now, coming into today's race, Sepultemba had 43 points, 1 podium finish, which was the most recent race in Canada. So as this season hurdles towards its conclusion, September is in a rich vein of form and on the verge of a second podium of the season to match the result that he had in Canada. And Quali says, well, they would be in trouble if they pitted the front runners on those aging tires. And another thing to bear in mind, of course, all of the top three on the hards, which are tougher to heat up after a safety car. And, of course, exacerbated by the fact that those tires are 18 laps old. It is Don Rabico from Mex from Tempo your top three. Ban Kobe, despite that 3-second time penalty, now in 4th place. Tindo in P5 on those 13-lap-old mediums. Then we have Tato Loveness in 6th place. And Gawako D-Wax P7. It could be a decent point finish for them on those newer mediums, relatively speaking. Tapiso was languishing towards the back of the pack for large parts of this race, but on the verge of a decent haul of points here. Currently running in P8, has a tire advantage relative to some of the drivers higher up this current grid. And Nebo, fighting for his life, currently P9, a potential point finish here today. Not going to be easy, considering behind him, Tabo T92 for McLaren. Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, possibly Debo Cayman, in P11. The safety car is coming in at the end of this lap. Romeo, Mandla, Massigo in the Haas on the softs, as is Sich Figure of Speech in that 13th spot. Donovan Laka, well, their race prospects pretty much toast considering that 10-second time penalty. Grimjaw, fresh softs, is going to be in a fighting mood as we turn our attentions back towards the front of this grid. Once again, Don Rabico on the aging hards will send us racing once again. Mex is going to try and put Don under pressure. He dives onto the inside, and Don Rabico tries to break the slipstream once again. Mex, superior straight line speed, which Don Rabico will try fight back at a later stage of the race. Sepultemba, will he? Oh no, he cuts the corner. Does Sepultemba, and Bancomi gets another time penalty. Oh no, it's pandemonium. Sepultemba tumbles down the order. Now possibly completely out of the points. And there's huge moments of contact here. It looks like the Red Bull made contact with a little bit of Bancomi over there. Loveness versus Bancomi and Tindo. And now they've completely shuffled the pack. It's Tindo, who is now into the podium places, absolutely fighting, is the Alpine driver. And look at that. Don Rabico versus Mex, fighting for their lives in the battle for the lead of this race. Don Rabico back up to the lead, and Mex and Tato in that P3 spot. What a possible result this would be for Tato, considering he started as far back as he, further back than he would have wanted. Behind this Alpine is Bancomi, who was absolutely on the attack into turn 12. And here comes the onrushing Tapiso, who has gone up to P6. It is pandemonium, sensational stuff. Oh, contact between DOX and Tabo T92 chasing behind. There is absolutely so much action, and Lebo becomes the latest casualty. No ways. Oh. And Lebo, the fourth car to crash out. Another safety car. I did not expect that with so little racing still to go. Man, oh man, oh man. Can barely believe what I'm seeing. Grimjaw also out of this session, throwing in the towel.
Maru Grimjaw vele walahlisa wena. Maru Grimjaw bekana matayero soft, maybe because wazi ukula marash. Abantu bengafuni vele bathi khulufa for himself yabo. uGrimjaw wavele wathi hayi. Asini avele wathi after mina ngiyaphuma yini.
Grimjaw, yes, out of this race. Zotal says Mex needs to overtake Don on the straight. Look at the top two, 20-lap-old tires. Tato, Loveness on the verge of a second podium finish of the season. Tindo was one of the big movers there. 15-lap-old tires. Mex needs to pull 3 seconds, says Duke in the comment section. Mexico is showing people flame, says the 3-time champion Cicla in the comment section. Cepiso, what a result this could be for Ferrari. P5 would be absolutely sensational. Ngawako, D-Wax, currently 6th. Tabo T92, I wonder how much wing damage he would have taken having made contact with D-Wax in that aerial shot that we saw a couple of minutes ago. Azuri says Loveness could generally have been in with a shot of a win with those tires without a safety car. Absolutely, 100%. Mandla is back in the points courtesy of the pandemonium, the carnage, the drama that we've seen thus far. Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, possibly Debo Cayman. Bongani, P9, back within the points. Sage figure of speech as well. Donovan Laka, 10-second time penalty. And the Williams pair of Ban Kobe and Seppo Temba languishing outside the points. Ban Kobe now coming back into the pits at this particular point. It could have been a decent haul of points here for the Williams driver. Now languishing in P13. It was a new set of softs, but it looks like he might have taken wing damage on the safety car. So Ban Kobe back in the pits is now going to be fighting for his life from P13. We should have at least lap 35 and 36 as, proper laps of racing with the green flag conditions. Drama in the second half of this race here in Mexico. This is Ban Kobe making the way out the pits, trying to catch up to the pack. Well. Donathan Laka in with a shot here. I do wonder how many warnings he might have taken up until this particular point. Mex already racked up that 3-second time penalty. With so little racing to go, Mex may yet be finding himself out of the reckoning. So it is advantage Loveness, advantage possibly Tindo and Cepiso. Remember, Tindo has much older mediums relative to Cepiso. We may yet see a last-minute podium surge for the Ferrari of Cepiso, who now weaves to the left and to the right, trying to get those temperature into those tires. I wonder if Cepiso is aware of the advantage that he has relative to the Alpine ahead of him. If Cepiso has a race engineer, now of course they will be in his ear telling him, listen, golden opportunity here for a podium finish, and what a result that would be for Cepiso here today, languishing in 17th in this championship standing. Cepiso's best result is only a P9 thus far. And well, when will Don Rabico send it is the question. The answer is now, with Mex once again on the aging hard tires, looking to go for it again, to pull the same move that Mex did in recent restarts, but Don Rabico leaving nothing to chance this time out. Just 2 laps of racing still to go. Hands on to the lead of this race. Oh, in the midfield, meanwhile, D-Wax makes contact with Tabo T92, who has overtaken the Alpha Tauri. Meanwhile, it says Cepiso now in that P5 spot versus Tindo. Tries he might, he does not seem to have enough to be able to overtake in the run towards turn number 4. Cepiso fighting for his life for the best points finish of his season thus far. It could yet be something special for the Ferrari driver. Meanwhile, in the battle for the top 3, Loveness. Advantage Loveness says, do you consider tire age here? And can he keep it together? Can he pressure Mex minimum and give Don Rabico a lot to think about before all is said and done here? Little bit of bouncing, little bit of apportionment, little bit of network issues for Loveness here. But he's still running, he's still valid, he's still keeping Mex under all the pressure at this particular point. Meanwhile, Tindo has been overtaken by Cepiso, who is now up to P4. Sensational stuff by the Ferrari driver on his fight back of the ages to get back within the potential podium finishes. Tepiso needs to find at least a couple of tenths to be able to make sure that Mex does not get that podium place. Meanwhile, Mex is still hunting down Don Rabico while being hunted by Loveness, who has done sensationally well here. Don Rabico, Mex, Loveness have now begun the 36th and final lap of this race. The Ferrari has to make sure, says Peace, aka the Lucho, in the comment section. Here comes Loveness now towards turn 4. Is he going to be braver on the brakes? The answer is no. Not yet. Not at this particular point. He has only got one more golden opportunity, and that is after the S's as they send it screaming towards turn number 12. What can Loveness do? It's a sensational, breathless end to this race. Oh, Loveness! Will he make contact with Max? He almost does. Loveness thought about going on the inside of the Alpine, but was not necessarily close enough there. Here they come now, slaloming through the S's, and Don Rabico looks to have done enough, considering the time penalty and the distance to Loveness. It is going to be sensational stuff. Mex might yet do it. He might get hung on to the podium places. Here comes Don Rabico now towards the stadium section. He has been sensational. He made a huge mistake earlier on, but he capitalized on the pandemonium and the carnage and the drama. It's Don Rabico now across the line to win in Mexico. And Loveness comes home in P2. And Mex hangs on for the final podium place. Cepiso, P4 for the best podium, or rather the best result of his season thus far. Tabo T92, what he tried from the back of the pack. Tendo comes home in P6. Iguacu D-Wax will come home within the points as well. And what a sensational day we have had here in Mexico with unrivaled drama. Tabo T92 voted driver of the day by the game. Do you agree? Zotal reckons Tepiso should get that award. Let us know in the comments section. Don Rabico levitating once again to the top step of the podium. And look at that. It is Mex also occupying the podium. And Loveness for his best result of this season, and the champagne goes spraying all over this rostrum over here. Beautiful scenes that we're seeing here in Mexico. Look at that, folks. It is Loveness in P2, best result of the season. Mex in third. Tepiso gets 12 extra championship points. Tabo T92, what a drive considering he started 17th on the grid. And then we have the Alpine of Tindo, who started 16th. What a drive. And Guaco D-Wax finishes 7th. Debo Crocodile 8th. Mandla is in the points, P9 for them. Tsepo Temba will be bitterly disappointed considering the pace that he showed throughout this race today. Sadly for Stage Figure of Speech, no points for them. And no points either for Bankobi as well. Well, I want to hear your thoughts on this so beautifully entertaining race in Mexico City. Tepiso driver of the day, Tabo T, made sure with a quali ban. Oh yes, so there were of course drivers who were serving quali bans who thus could not take part in the quali earlier on. So I want to hear your thoughts, folks, on who you thought was the best driver of the day as we wait for the trio to join us in the comment section. Congratulations to Tepiso, who lets out a huge sigh of relief, and I can imagine Tepiso letting off a huge fist pump with that best race of the season. Man Ray says, or rather Debo Crocodile says, you know what? I really dislike Mexico. Bangani there. Not having so much fun. Nice try, says the Nucho, who possibly could have expected Tepiso to go for a possible podium finish over there, but not today. And the first person to join us in the commentary box is Don Rabico. Congratulations, top step of the podium. There's a lot of noise in the background of your audio. I'm not sure where that is coming from, Don Rabico. Congratulations. Please take us through your quali and your race. We saw that huge moment which sent you tumbling down. Congratulations, Don.
What's the problem, man?
Yes, and the grass is making it straight.
So why you have to go and tell the group Corona is not working, Corona is not doing anything?
Okay, Don Ramico, we're going to need you to possibly mute yourself. Don Ramico is on 2 calls at the same time. Okay, Don, we're going to need you to please mute your mic.
I don't want to come tomorrow and say that's why.
But if it's a small problem, fix it, Chief.
Don kwenzakalani ukhuluma ngoproblem angazi uDon ukhuluma ngomuntu angazi khona umuntu ozomphethela ugesi.
It's a long story.
uDon ukhuluma ngomuntu ozomlungisela ugesi kwenzakalani?
Well, Don,
it's not my fault.
Don, we can hear you.
Okay, I'll call
If
you
you
back.
can
I'll call
please
you
mute
back.
your mic. What is going on? Don, congratulations. It seems you're back with us now. Congratulations. Top step of the podium. It was not easy. It was not straightforward. Take us through, number one, that great quality session that you had. And we saw you tumbling down the order. And then we also saw you fighting back. Take us through that. All right. Well, we cannot seem to hear Don over here. We'll move over.
Can you hear me?
Okay,
Can you
now
hear
we
me?
can. Yes, now we can hear you. Please take us through that.
Tonight was a bit of a tough race. I see everybody was up to pace in Mexico. Everybody was flying in Mexico, but I quite enjoyed the race. I enjoyed the close racing. I upped my wing a little bit because I thought it was going to rain, just to be safe. But it was dry, so I was very slow on the straight, and the other guys had very low wings, so they were flying on the straight, you know?
Yeah.
But luckily in sector 3, I was quite strong. I could open a gap in sector 3. But yeah, no, the race was good. Mex was flying. Tsepo Temba was flying. Unfortunate for Django and Grimjo on their crash. But that was good, very good. Close racing. I remember I even went wheel to wheel with Max. I tried to leave as much space as possible, but that was very much fun.
And it looked brilliantly entertaining. Definitely one of the races of the season. Don, just take us through the moment where you tumbled down the order. Was that just a loss of grip, a huge mistake there? I think it was towards the final corner where you had that huge moment that sent you tumbling down before the final safety cars.
Yeah, by the last turn, last corner. Yeah. I lost grip there and almost hit the wall, but luckily I survived. So that was a close call.
Close call, absolutely indeed. We're joined also by Max in the podium back, showing your class. What a race that was. A pity about the time penalty, but you still hung on, Max, to get onto the podium. Take us through your thoughts on your setup and how much you might have struggled in quali, and also your race. You were sensational leading the pack and fighting with Don and Tsepo Temba.
Yes, thank you, Tayo. I haven't seen the podium in forever, so I'm very happy.
Yes, sure, carry on.
Yeah. But in terms of quali, I thought it was also going to rain towards the beginning of the race, even though I had quite low wings. I never really got to grips with choosing a setup with Mexico, but I mean, it played in my hands today, and I had quite the advantage in the straight lines.
Yeah.
How slowly I run down the corners.
And how difficult was Sector 3 in particular? And also, I think after turn 7, the S section, in those tight battles for you?
Well, yeah, on one of them, with the battles, obviously I got my penalty trying to give Don space in turn 1. But regarding Sector 3, I guess I just made sure that I had to be careful. I was careful most of the race and just trying to keep in the DRSs of the guys up front.
And how much time, Max, did you manage to put in your preparation for this race?
I think I had about 2 days preparation, but like I said, I was jumping on and off different setups. But yeah, it worked out in my favor, and I had a really great and fun race.
Man, and it was really, really good to watch. Don Radical, I'm just seeing Tato Loveness came home in P2, so not able to get his thoughts. I just want to hear from you. Next up, of course, we have got, I believe it is Brazil. How happy are you around there? I believe it might also be a sprint race.
You know, Brazil is Mercedes track. You already know we're gonna punish there.
Donna, I also want to hear actually about Grimjaw. How much do you know about him and his? What kind of pace we can expect from him, your new teammate in Brazil? Is he comfortable there?
Yes, I just a lack of practice. Sometimes he's too busy with work and he didn't get to practice. So if he practice, he will be formidable. But if he doesn't practice, he's gonna struggle.
All right, and similarly for you, Max. Next up is Brazil. How you feeling around there? Sprint race, of course, so does shake up the field a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it helps that I'm quite down in the championships, but it's a track that I enjoy just historically in breakaways. I haven't performed well, but we'll see next week, I guess.
And a final question to you, Max. Coming into this race, I think you were 10th, or rather 9th in the standings. What's your target in terms of where you see yourself finishing the season in the standings?
Because of all my missed races and missed points, honestly, I just want to stay in tier 1 because it was looking to a point where I thought I was going to miss a lot more races.
Yeah.
But I'll say about, let's say, P5, 6.
All right, man. Really looking forward to some really close racing over there. As your biggest fan, Nintendo Wii finally joins the stream. It's Max in the podium places, coming home in that P3 spot. So congratulations both to you, Max, and you, Don. Congratulations, Loveness, as well. Season's best performance of a P2. We will see both of you, hopefully, in Brazil next week, Thursday. So please do make sure you join us. That should be Thursday at 8 p.m., considering it's a sprint race next season. So next week, I beg your pardon. And Tier 2 races on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. And, of course, Tier 2 Wednesdays, 8 p.m. and Tier 3 on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. as well. So thank you, everybody, for all of your comments. And, it's going to be a very entertaining race to watch back. Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Thanks, Ty.